All right, so have you ever played a game and felt like, wow, this is so real, like it's hitting a little too close to home?
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling.
Well, today we're diving into a situation where that feeling goes like way beyond just the game itself. We're looking at Stalker 2, Heart of Chornobyl.
Okay.
And for folks who haven't heard of it, it's a video game set in the real Chornobyl exclusion zone. It's this post-apocalyptic shooter, very intense. But what's really wild is that the game itself is now caught up in a real-world disinformation campaign.
That's crazy.
So buckle up, because this is where the virtual and the real world kind of collide.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this is that this isn't just some random internet troll trying to stir up drama.
Right.
What we're seeing with Stalker 2, it's like a textbook example of how video games, especially ones that deal with, sensitive real-world stuff, can become like pawns in these bigger conflicts.
Absolutely. And I think the really scary part is how sophisticated these disinformation campaigns are getting.
Yeah.
There's this video making the rounds, and it claims that Stalker 2 is basically spyware. Like, it's stealing player data and sending it back to the Ukrainian government.
Right, like their IP address, their location, their device, all of it.
And it's, designed to look super legit. They've got a watermark that mimics this really well-known tech publication, so people are actually falling for it.
Totally.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So, it's obviously designed to make people afraid to play the game, but what's the bigger goal here? Why all this effort over a video game?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Well, this video, it's not just a one-off thing. It's actually part of this, much larger Russian disinformation campaign, and they call it Operation Matryoshka.
Operation Matryoshka. Okay. Now, I know Matryoshka dolls, but what does that have to do with disinformation?
Yeah, so think about those dolls, right? You open one up, and then there's another one inside, and another, and it's kind of like that with this operation. It's all about layers. They hide the true purpose, beneath all these seemingly unrelated stories. They flood the internet with these narratives, and it's often aimed at discrediting, NATO countries, Ukraine. They just want to sow chaos, confusion, and ultimately, get people to distrust any legitimate news sources.
It's like they want to create this world where nobody knows what to believe anymore.
Exactly.
So, it's almost like the game itself isn't even the real target.
No.
They're using it as a tool.
Exactly.
To push this bigger agenda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, there are a few reasons why Stalker 2 is the perfect target for this. First of all, it's become this unintentional symbol of Ukrainian resilience. These developers, they kept working on the game throughout the entire war.
It's incredible.
I know, right? Some of them even stayed in Kyiv. Others, they relocated, but they all kept going.
It's a powerful message.
It is. And that's probably why Russia wants to try to undermine it.
It's also interesting the timing of it all.
Right.
The game just had this huge launch across Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
It's on everybody's radar right now.
Exactly.
So it's prime time to spread disinformation.
Totally. Because when something gets this much attention, it's way easier to get people to pay attention to, fake news about it as well.
Yeah. And, this isn't the first time the Russian government has gone after GSC Game World, the studio behind the game.
Oh, for sure not. Remember when they blocked the entire Stalker 2 website?
Yeah, that was right after the studio, publicly called for an end to the invasion.
Exactly. And then, let's not forget about the hacking attempts.
Oh, right. Russian hackers literally stole development materials and tried to blackmail the studio.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But what I thought was really incredible was GSC's response.
Oh, they basically said, bring it on.
Yeah, they were we've been through so much worse than your threats.
Yeah, we're Ukrainian, and we've faced destroyed homes, lost loved ones. Your blackmail attempts are nothing to us.
It really shows you the human cost of all this. This isn't just some abstract online thing for them.
Right.
It's part of their daily reality.
It's part of this larger assault on their country.
So I want to, shift gears for a second.
Sure.
Talk about the game itself. How's it actually holding up amidst all this chaos?
Well, despite some technical issues, which they're working on fixing, the game's gotten pretty good reviews. Critics are liking it.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that the game, even though it's fictional, right, it touches on a lot of themes that are super relevant today. It portrays a society that's grappling with misinformation, propaganda, power struggles. It's like eerily prescient given what's happening in the real world.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Like, are we just seeing the beginning of this? Are video games going to become like the new battleground for these disinformation campaigns?
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely a question worth asking. Technology keeps blurring the lines between the real and the virtual. I think we all need to be a lot more aware of the information we're consuming.
And where it's coming from.
Exactly, because these campaigns, they prey on our trust, our fears, even our love for games. So next time you're playing a game, especially one that touches on real-world stuff, take a moment to think about the bigger context. Who might be trying to influence you and why?
Food for thought for sure. And on that note, that wraps up our deep dive for today. Stay skeptical out there, everyone.